Someone wants to talk.
Who is this?
This is
Who is this?
this is Pedro Esteban from San Miguel. My child is sick.
Shouldn't have let the driver go home so early. They have to wait till now to call. Child's probably dead.
Play, cut,
But Ben can drive for you.
play. Cut.
Haven't seen that boy around from this house. Probably he had taken his vacation both from school and home.
Cut.
He's downstairs.
Again. Who's that girl he's seeing? It's not just warm, it's hot. You should have stayed on in Baguio. There's disease, suffering. Because Adam ate the apple. Maybe they had the answers to everything.
Cut. Cut, sir.
Come along, we're going somewhere.
I'll drive, Pa.
Somebody's waiting near San Miguel. You know the place?
Go. Sure. Go. A lot of what, Pa? Tito Cesar let me use this car in Manila, special occasions. No, I won't, Pa. I just like to drive and go other places. That's all. Oh. Okay. Sige. I am Mr. Bandok.
Nice meeting you.
We will go to this field, Doctor, and after that we will cross the river.
Lead the way, Esteban.
Laylay, ayaw ko na po tayo.
We are here, Doctor.
Good evening, Doctor.
Doctor. Doctor, tell us.
It's too late. There's nothing more I can do, Esteban.
It's the will of God, my daughter.
In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. Play. I know this is not enough, Doctor. As you can see, we are very poor. I shall bring chicken and fruits to you someday.
Okay, you may better go back now, Esteban. I think I know to find a way. The child is right there, right?
Yes. You have been very kind to us, Doctor, to come this far at this hour.
You're welcome.
2, 3.
Let's go, Ben. You baptized the child, didn't you?
Yes, Pa.
Lay baptism was the name for it, right?
Yes. I asked the father and he said that the baby hadn't been baptized. They were waiting it to get well.
I'll do the driving.
Okay.
If other people carried on like you, Ben, the priest would run out of business. Now you'll have an angel paying for you in heavens. What if you haven't baptized the baby and it died? What would happen to it then? Now you'll have an angel praying for you in heaven. What if you haven't baptized the baby and it died? What would happen to it then? But isn't it unfair? It was like a riddle. Trivial but diverting, just because... Okay.
Cut. It won't see God. Maybe God has another remedy. I don't know, but the church says. Cut.
Oh.
It's alright, pa. Cut.
Sorry for keeping you up this late. Some night, huh, Ben? What did the barrio, your mother, some night, huh, Ben? What you did in the barrio, your mother will love her to hear about it. Reverend Father Ben Lazaro. Father Lazaro, what must I do to gain eternal life? Okay.
Faith, Love, Time, and Dr. Lazaro is a story of a medical doctor, Dr. Lazaro, and his son, Ben, who was called by a poor family of Esteban to administer his newborn baby who was tetanus. In the story, Ben shows of how he wants to become a priest. As his father see him, his faith in God comes back. He also said that his mother would be proud of him. We know also that deep inside his heart, he was also proud of his son.
The author of Love, Faith, Time, and Dr. Lazaro was Gregorio Brillantes. He was born in Tarlac in 1932. He was a bachelor's degree in literature, major in journalism from Ateneo de Manila University. Written numerous essays and articles in various publications, and his short stories collected are in The Distance to Andromeda and Other Stories in 1960s, and The Apollo Centennial, Nostalgia, Predicaments, and Celebration in 1981, and have been translated into Japanese, Indonesia, Malay, German, and Czech. One of his stories, which is Love, Faith, Time, and Dr. Lazaro, captures our faith as Christians. What I like about him is that he writes about individual under 30, adolescent, and post-adolescent who struggle from alienation. He is a member of the Palanca Awards Hall of Fame, a multi-awarded fictionist and most popular writer in English, and that was Gregorio Brillantes.
The story is all about a doctor. Dr. Lazaro and his son Ben are called in the middle of the night to go to a poor family whose baby has a case of tetanus. They travel on the fields and river. As they arrive, Dr. Lazaro immediately checks the baby, but it was too late. The baby passed away. Dr. Lazaro wants his son to be a doctor like him, but Ben wants to serve God. He wants to be a priest someday. In his profession, Dr. Lazaro loses his faith to God, and by the time he sees his son baptizing the week-year-old baby, the faith of Ben opens his faith to God again.
The story Faith, Love, and Time by Dr. Lazaro reflects Brillantes' religious themes. It gives us insight in our own Christian faith. If you really analyze the story, there are some important questions about God's existence. If God really exists, or the nature of God. The story was all about a medical doctor named Dr. Lazaro, and with his young son Ben, who were called in the middle of the night to minister a poor family whose newborn baby got tetanus. If you see it in a deeper level, the journey towards the poor family seems to be a spiritual journey for Dr. Lazaro. This story was also a comparison of mainly the two characters, Dr. Lazaro and Ben, as counterpoints.
During the younger age of Dr. Lazaro, he firmly believed God, but because of certain critical events in his life, lead to a loss of his faith, because he wasn't able to fulfill his dreams. Because faith often leads to the spiritual belief of the existence of a higher supreme. Faith can be also believing in oneself, and this belief initiates the believer to proclaim and spread such faith to others who are now believers. But Dr. Lazaro failed. He felt that his efforts of saving lives was useless because he wasn't able to save his son's life. He has been a witness to countless seemingly random deaths. A patient with cancer, a baby dying from tetanus, and most of all, his eldest son who committed suicide. And later, the Lazaro family died. However, Ben is different. Ben, in his young age, is sure of what he wanted to become, is optimistic and hopeful, and has believed in faith. Ben has faith in God as well as to himself, and he wanted to serve others by becoming a priest. Even if he wasn't yet a priest, he already read the biography of a man who became a monk and baptized the child. And he was even called by his own father as Father Lazaro. These are the evidences that he had shown that Ben desired to become a priest. From one of the critics I've read, Ben's love is described as love is passion and desire in disguise. It is when you do something and you do it with your heart, mind, and soul. Because of your desire, passion, and love. Like Ben, Dr. Lazaro at first desired to also serve others, but the death of his most like Ben, Dr. Lazaro at first desired to also serve others, but death of his most loved son killed of any love left for the doctor to serve. He only now worked because for the sake of obligation, and the love and passion were gone. His dead son a treasure of his that he loved so much, but which vanished so quickly. With all the pains and sufferings, he grew more in hatred and not in love. Time is an abstract element. Time is made manifest in the Time is an abstract element. Time is made manifest in story not only by the sequence of events portrayed progressively by the plot. Time is also the gap, not only in the chronological difference between father and son, but also the emotional separation of both from each other. Time can be also seen in recollection of Dr. Lazaro. As he travels back in time and space, it proves only one thing, that the past is not yet dead to him. He finds himself lost in time and can't express love and faith to anybody else. This story is about Dr. Lazaro's loss of faith, love, and time.
Love, Faith, Time, and Dr. Lazaro has some literary techniques used to emphasize the theme to the story. And these are some of the techniques. First is what we call allusion. This is the reference to a well-known person, biblical story, and others. So in the story, it can be like to a parable about Lazarus, and we can refer to a question that, does God exist? The second techniques, which is called antithesis, are two contrasts that are presented. So in the story, we can differentiate the two characters, namely Ben and Dr. Lazaro. Dr. Lazaro and Ben in terms how they see life. According to Dr. Lazaro, he has lost so much faith in God and life. But for Ben, he wants to become a priest. Dr. Lazaro is scientific, cold, and rational, but Ben seems annoying and positive. Dr. Lazaro has this belief of doubt, but Ben is spiritual, warm, and intimate and emotional. Ben also promises belief and faith. Dr. Lazaro was old, pessimistic, and bitter. On the other hand, Ben is young, optimistic, and hopeful. Literary techniques used in the story is what we call catharsis. This is an emotional release. You can find this when Dr. Lazaro's son died and other experience he witnessed and a random death and his experience about the baby who dies from tetanus. The fourth literary technique is what we call metaphor. It describes somebody or something of word or phrase that is not meant literal. So from the first paragraph, the description alone, we get the sense that this man, Dr. Lazaro, was lack of more appropriate term, virtual zombie. We can get into the story some symbols that represents Dr. Lazaro that he lost faith. A view of stars, country's darkness, humming of wires, sleeping town, and plaza empty with moonlight. So that's basically the literary techniques of the story Love, Faith, Time, and Doctor.
This is a Palanca winner. Consider the experiment in form. This is what we call a prose poem. It is all prose, but it's still poetry because it uses the forms and sensibilities of poetry without poetry's versification and lines.
Naya S. Badalion, as the author of a prose poetry entitled Dream of Goldfish, grew up in Manila, Philippines. She had worked as a magazine editorial assistant, a freelance copy editor, a content writer for a website design company, and a literature and writing composition teacher. She graduated in 2002 with a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Creative Writing at the Ateneo de Manila University, where, in fact, she was the Associate Director of Heights, the university's official literary publication. She was a fellow for poetry in English in the 38th UP National Writers Workshop in 2001 and the 41st Dumaguete National Writers Workshop in 2002. She has recently received an MA in English and Creative Writing and is now based in Toronto, Canada. A versatile writer and meticulous editor with a broad range of experience in marketing and advertising, magazine and web publishing, financial services, and the academe. Proven ability to produce snappy, creative copy as well as polished essays and technical documents, changing styles to suit the channel and audience. Through understanding of online and print publishing processes, armed with a keen attention to detail obsession with accuracy and passion for quality content. That is Naya S. Badalion.
Of Goldfish. A boy was sitting beside the student, wearing sunglasses and holding a plastic bag of goldfish. As he was staring at the goldfish, he imagined that he punctured the bag with a pencil, and the water would drown up so instantly. In the lights of rush hour, he thinks that Newton was wrong. More than one future could swing away from the swoosh of a single action. With his imagination, water would splash, wetting passengers' toes, while the girl is asking for an explanation. Possibly, the girl would rush out to the vehicle and the boy would feel guilty if she burst out into tears. Or maybe she would snap and grab the pencil and point it to his nostril. He thought that he could love her forever if she said thanks and throw away the bag on the elliptical road.